Welcome to this new video. This will be more of a discussion slash tutorial on some tools that will help your pipeline when you're working with Blender to Unreal a little bit easier and a little bit faster. In this video we'll talk about some set of tools. The first one are some add-ons that the Unreal developers has developed for Blender. One of them is the Send to Unreal add-on that is basically will allow you to send all of your data, all of your meshes, animations, and materials in some way or another to Unreal without needing to export and everything that comes with all the pain that comes with the exportation. And the second one is the level design assistant, where it's basically let's call it an array tool for Unreal, because when sometimes you need to place lots of static meshes in an array way, like if you're building a castle or building a road or something like that, it can be tedious sometimes. So we will explore in detail this tool. And latest is the Unreal Auto Load LOD calculator, level of details. That is basically when you are creating meshes or characters or anything for a video game, most of the time you need to create multiple level of details, like a high poly and a mid poly and a low poly mesh for your game to optimize the game. And so this tool it's built into Unreal. It has some limitations. It's not like a substitute for retypo because it has some flaws. But if you have if you don't need like to create lots of LODs, you just can use this tool. So let's hop into Blender and start with the first tool. So let's start with the first tool, that is the Send to Unreal add-on, where basically you go, after you download it from the Unreal GitHub repository, that is basically accessible only if you have your Epic Games account linked with your GitHub account. I will leave links below that explains everything and all the process, how to do it and everything. Okay, so after you download it and you install it, you should enable the Send to Unreal add-on, and that's it. After you enable it, you will find that there is a new tab up here called Pipeline, where it basically enables you to import and export assets to Unreal. And here you will find three new collections in the outline that describes which type of data should be included inside them. Like for the example, meshes, there only should be only meshes inside of this. Rigs, if you have animated characters, you should drag and drop their armature inside of the rig, and the static mesh of the character inside the mesh. Okay, an extra if you want to include like lights and cameras and stuff like that. Okay, so here we have a Susan, a lovely monkey that I've subdivided, and after that I shall drag it and drop it inside the mesh and export to Unreal. It will take like a couple of seconds, and now it's done. Okay, so this is me in the editing closet. I forgot to say something very important. Okay, after you have installed the add-on into Blender, you come to Unreal and you go to your edit plugins and you search for Python and you enable the Python editor script, and then it will ask you to restart your editor. After you have restarted it, you go to your editor preferences, and you search for CPU, and make sure that use this CPU winning background is disabled to avoid any problems and issues when you are importing to Unreal from Blender. So now if we go to Unreal, we will find this folder called Untitled Category, Untitled Assets, and here is our Susan, and we have everything done. So if we open it up, we will find all the details that we had, like the number of vertices, that is 35,000 vertices, and the UVs and everything imported into Unreal without the need to export as FBX and going through all the options of the exportation of FBX. Okay, now while we are here, we should explore the second tool, that is the auto LOD generator. Most of the time it will work with your meshes unless it's a really heavy mesh like this one here. This is a swamp monster that has been provided to me by SirFloof. He is an amazing YouTube creator and a 3D modeler. He has some videos on how to do some cool stuff in Blender. I will drop down the links below. You should check him out and subscribe to him. Okay, so as you see, this is like a 4 million vertices, like a 7 million plus triangles static mesh. And I assure you, if you try to use the auto load generator with this mesh, Unreal will crash. Okay, but this is why we do some retopology and baking the textures and baking the normals and all of the stuff. But if you have this simple mesh like this Susan here, like it's not over 100,000 triangles, okay, you can go with ease with the LOD generator, even though it's not perfect. Okay, so here you can go to the LOD settings and decide how many LODs that you want. Like let's say that we need 4, like a full LOD, a mid full LOD, a mid LOD, a mid low LOD. So 4 or 5, let's make it 5. So wait, okay, now here we can decide how to compute the LOD distance. So basically the LOD, how LOD works, it depends on how close the camera is to the mesh itself. So as you can see, when I'm close here, I would love to see all the details, but when I go back here, I don't want to see like a really detailed mesh, because from this point of view I will not see any details. So this will save up all the calculation power on your scene. So if you have lots and lots of stuff that's highly detailed, you should really think about creating LODs, so when, for example, the camera is looking away, the LOD is not loaded, but when it's looking at it, the LOD is loaded. And here we go. So we have decided that we want 5 LODs, and then just apply changes. It will take some time. It will take from like a couple of minutes maximum, depending on how much detailed is your mesh. And then you get all of these LODs. So here you can see all of these LODs. So this is the first one, this is the default one. The first one here is basically half of the first one. Like the first LOD calculated is basically half of the triangles and half of the vertices from the default mesh. The second one still less than the first one, like 10,000 now, and as you can see, it still conserves the details in a really good way. Like it's not distorted and it's not jaggedy and everything. But when you start to go down low, you start to see that the LOD4, for example, here, it's not as smooth as the LOD3, and this is not smooth as the LOD2. Like some difference exists, but this is why we bake the textures and the materials. So however you are far away, you will only see the mesh as it was baked. Holy crap, my English is escaping. Anyway, so now we want to see how the LOD auto will behave. So right now, as you can see here, we're still in LOD 0, LOD 1, 2, 3, and now it will load the fourth one. And if you want to change when the LOD is loaded, you can go to the LOD picker, go to LOD 0 for example, and you see here you can play with the settings of LOD 0, and there is if you disable the auto compute the distance, what will happen is that you will be able to decide at which distance, at which screen size, as you see here, this LOD will be loaded. For example, right now I am this close to it, so if you go to auto, now I am this close to the mesh, so if it has one or more of the screen size, it shall load the LOD 0. But when I go back like this, like 2.4, 0.4, I want to load the LOD 1. So, and that's it. So you can decide, for example, at this point here, okay, it seems perfect for me, I want to load the LOD2. So it's automatically made it like this, and the third one will be loaded at this distance here. But if you wanted to load at much recent distance, so 0.19 for example, and here you can load the LOD4 at 0.09. Now if we go to the load auto, you can see it will change depending on the screen size that we have decided before. So this concludes the first part of this review tutorial. I'm sorry, I'll be dividing it into two parts because the second part is a little bit big to explain, and I don't want this video to be like 30 minutes long. So I will see you again in the next video, and don't forget to subscribe, like, leave your questions and your comments down in the comments below. Check out SirFloof for more Blender content, and check out our Twitch channel because we are streaming there almost every day, like 3 times a week, and I will be waiting for you there.